It is time to finally build that God Squad. Stay frosty and head to buymaddencoins.com for the cheapest, fastest, and most reliable MUT coins on the market. I'll even help you shave off a few bucks. Use code DIRECTOR at checkout for 20% off. Yoda brothers, what's up? It's the Director, Madden Ultimate Team fans. There's nothing to do. There's nothing to do. There's nothing to do in Madden Ultimate Team. So today in this video, we're gonna go over my favorite Madden Ultimate Team players of all time in Madden Ultimate Team, dating back several Maddens. It should be a good time, guys. There's a sneak peek. Lamar Jackson definitely on this list. Golden ticket for Madden 18. This will be my top 15 players. Now, it's not going to be the best Madden players of all time, just because it would just be a list of 15 golden tickets. This is my personal favorites. As I'm going along this list, guys, let me know which one of these guys that you enjoyed playing with in past Maddens, and maybe include some that I don't mention in this video that were some of your favorite Madden Ultimate Team items in years past. Guys, before we get started with this video, hit us up with a like and sub if you do enjoy this content. The small amount of time you guys take to hit the like, sub, and bell notification helps me out a lot. Let's get started with this video. Starting at number 15, we'll make our way up to number 1. Starting at number 15 is gonna be Mike Williams. Duh. Mike Williams, I've been pushing for him to get a card all year long. For the past several seasons, since the year that he was drafted, I've been trying to get him an upgrade in Madden Ultimate Team, and it has not happened. He has not had a card over 90 overall since he was drafted, which is a damn shame, EA. The reason this is one of my favorite cards ever, 97 overall. I remember when he was drafted, I was like, dudes, we're about to get a decently fast wide receiver that's 6'4", you know, for the Chargers theme team. That's pretty rad. And on top of that, his spec catch was some of the best I'd ever seen in Madden Ultimate Team for their overall. So really like Mike Williams, dude. Obviously he's a homer kind of pick for me. I really want to see, you know, Mikey back in the game with a decent overall, hopefully in Madden 21. Let's make that the first year we see a respectable Mike Williams in head-to-head. Next up, let's go to number 14, Barry Sanders from Madden 18 with the Harvest promo. One of the most disgusting berries I think I've ever seen. You guys remember Barry Sanders. You know, he came out, there was no defensive player that could match him. It kind of felt like cheating out there with this Barry Sanders. So good. And I feel like he was kind of the same way this year when he finally got his Ultimate Legend. I think the first player to get human joystick. That's the kind of effect that Barry Sanders has in the game of Madden Ultimate Team. So again, 95 speed for the time was crazy. You know, crazy spin and juke was pretty crazy. One of my favorite halfbacks that I've ever used in Madden Ultimate Team. Next up, this next one's going to be a little different and a little weird, and the guys that remember this, you know, you guys are in the know. It's gonna be Bo Jackson, but not halfback Bo Jackson. This is left guard Bo Jackson. You guys remember this promo? It was so weird. We got a Bo Jackson for literally every position on offense. You got your right guard, your center, your tight end, your cornerback, your halfback, wide receiver, everything. And funny enough, out of all that batch, you know, everyone thought, oh, you know, quarterback Bo Jackson's gonna be a glitch. For me, it turned out to be the offensive lineman, left guard Bo Jackson, simply because, you know, outside zone plays, you know, maybe even pitch and counter plays, whatever, having a left guard, which is primarily the direction that I run in, with 94 speed, was one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen in Madden Ultimate Team. Imagine a pitch to the left, right? And then your left guard is, you know, 10 yards in front of you, you know, blocking a safety. That's the kind of effect that this Bo Jackson had back in that day, dude. So I really loved this card. He's gonna make my top 15, man. I used this card for a very long time. Loved this Bo Jackson card. Next up, let's go to number 12. This is gonna be Casey Hayward. This was a master card, okay? And what was really fun about this set back in the day, I think this wasn't even too long ago. This might have been Madden 19. We had tokens, right? We had the elites and the gold tokens, and that really helped with pack trash back in the day. So if you pulled a ton of packs and you were left, you know, with all the leftover golds and silvers, you didn't know what to do them with, you could put those into tokens and then put those tokens into this set to get a 99 overall Casey Hayward. Whether you wanted to sell him or keep him was up to you. Obviously fitting the Chargers theme team, he stayed on my team, and I would have to guess that this is probably one of those cards that picked up the most consecutive picks for me than any other card I've used in Madden Ultimate Team. This was a pick machine. One of my favorite cornerbacks ever in Madden Ultimate Team, and probably one of the coolest programs that I've seen where you can use your pack trash to get actually something back in the game. So really like this Casey Hayward. Next up at number 11, man, this one should be higher, honestly. I'm sorry, this should be higher. Lamar Jackson, number 11, he should at least be in my top 10. One of my favorite quarterbacks I've ever used in Madden Ultimate Team. I remember losing my mind when I pulled this card. I figured he was way too expensive for me to use. I think I was starting to do YouTube back then. I think Madden 17 is right when I started like dibbling around with it. The Madden 18 is when I got pretty serious about it. And this Lamar Jackson was absolutely just so fire. We've all been using Michael Vick's for, you know, so many years. You know, other scrambling quarterbacks don't even come close to Lamar Jackson. And just having, you know, this new face out there, this new guy that came into the league and absolutely blew it up, especially in Madden Ultimate Team, a lot of fun. So one of my favorite of all time. Again, I was doing YouTube back then, so there's probably a video floating around somewhere of me pulling this card and losing my mind. So one of my favorite quarterbacks ever. Next up at number 10, cracking the top 10, is this Ghost of Madden. What is this? Madden 17, Deion Sanders. Now again, this Deion was pretty nasty for the time. 95 speed, crazy man, crazy zone. I think this was the year where 90 zone actually played really crazy too. Maybe this is why it's the year that actually, you know, stood out to me. I was like, oh my God, if I was thinking, you know, we've used Deion for so many years, which one stood out to me? I think Madden 17 stood out to me quite a bit. And again, it's because of how good he was at breaking on the ball. Again, just like Casey Hayward, this cat pulled in so many picks for me. It was also because, not just because of his speed and his coverage stats, but his spec catch at 95, which I felt was a huge factor in it. The catch in traffic at 82 and the catching at 93. This was just such a good card back in the day, man. So I'm going to say Deion Sanders going to crack the top 10. Next up at number 9 is going to be Eddie George. I think this one was the one from last year. 6'3", the dude was pretty fast. I'm going to say the 96 overall is the first time I actually used this card, and then he later did get in 99 overall. But this is the one that absolutely blew my mind. I was like, oh my God, we got a decently fast halfback with 96 truck, stiff arm, carrying, break tackle, the spin and juke move. I think we're pretty close to the threshold. He was just so good, man. I think if I remember right, last year during the Madden Championship Series, somebody used an Eddie George to win it. I don't remember who it was or if it, you know, he won the entire thing, but Eddie George was a big part of those highlights for me. So Eddie George is going to crack that. One of my favorite halfbacks from last year. Next up is going to be a golden ticket, guys. And I've been trying to keep, you know, my hands off the golden tickets on this list because it's a little bit unfair. But this Randy Moss cornerback item at number 8 was one of my favorite. This was a Madden 18. Again, you got that 6'4" frame. The catching on this guy, ridiculous. 94 catch, 89 in traffic, 95 spec. And then he also had that 94 man, 98 zone, 96 press. Probably one of the best cornerbacks I've ever used in my life. I remember having this golden ticket cornerback, and then I think it was Marlon Humphrey I had on the other side. And literally, that duo won me games by themselves. So he's going to be one of my favorite. Next up is, oh my God, it's Joey Bosa. You guys want to know why this specific Joey Bosa is my favorite? Dating back to Madden 17, not even his best one of that year, I think. Yeah, he had a Summer Blockbusters card too. It's because this is the year that Joey Bosa won Defensive Rookie of the Year. I was so hyped on this cat. I was literally jumping. I was crafting the bandwagon that would be Joey Bosa later on, and I had so much fun. I just remember so many games with this guy. 88 speed at the time at a 97 overall was so good. 91 block shed. You know, the 91, 95 finesse move. He was a pretty unique item in Madden Ultimate Team. We didn't really see very many cards like him, and this is probably the first one that stood out to me as like, oh my God, this is Joey Bosa. So that's going to be my favorite. I think that's number 7 on my list is Joey Bosa. Next up is Antonio Cromartie from Madden 16 back in the day. I think there was one with a Chargers jersey, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it was this one. It was this one, dude. It was a golden ticket Antonio Cromartie. Back when, you know, golden tickets were really, really good. And the reason they were good, take a look at this. 100 speed, 102 jumping, 100 man and 100 zone. You could go over 100 stats with these guys, dude. And this Antonio Cromartie was one of the craziest cornerbacks you will have ever used in Madden Ultimate Team. Again, 6'2", 100 speed, crazy good catching, you know, strength at 85 for his position, 99, like this one of the best cards probably ever. And for it to be Crow of all people made me super happy. So again, he's a golden ticket. It's a little unfair, but definitely one of my favorite of all time. Next up, speaking of favorites of all time, I think there's another golden ticket. It is. Okay, I don't know how many more golden tickets we have on this list, but I promise there's not too many more. Tamm Chancellor. Again, golden ticket item, 99 speed, 102 hit power. You could user this cat. You could lay, you know, he lays the heat back there. Again, 6'3", got that height advantage at defensive back. Such a fun card. Lots of guys really hoping that we get a Tamm Chancellor back in the game very soon. He's going to make this list at what, number 5? And in the top 5, number 4 is going to be Cam Newton from Madden 17. This is the draft edition player. I don't know what it was about this Cam Newton. Maybe it's where the gameplay was in Madden 17 with scrambling quarterbacks, specifically Cam, that Cam Newton actually stood out to me that year. 93 speed, looks like our golden ticket this year. Throw power, accuracy is all pretty decent. You know, the 86 trucking, which was pretty big back in the day. I don't know what it was about this Cam Newton, but he's definitely one of my favorite quarterbacks of all time. Literally, when you think about fun quarterbacks in Madden Ultimate Team, Cam Newton's probably the first name that comes to mind, just because he's so different. He's fast, he's a tank, he can truck, he can stiff arm, he can throw. I really like this Cam Newton card, man. So he's gonna be my number 4 on this list. Next up at number 3, the top 3. Who are the top 3 players for the director on this list? We're gonna start it off here at number 3 with Vincent Jackson from Madden, what is this, 16. Madden 16 Vincent Jackson is one of my favorite cards of all time, and it's because of what he represented for the Chargers. He was one of my favorite, wide receivers growing up in my day. He was just the man. VJax was the man back then, especially in this year, I think 2007. Maybe it was even a little bit later that, I noticed another crazy season for him. 6'5", 230 pounds. You could consider him nowadays probably a much faster, better Mike Evans. Imagine having that in Madden Ultimate Team. Again, the speed was maybe a little bit low. I didn't care. That 97 catch, the jumping, the route running was all great. The 98 catch in traffic. This card was just so much fun. Probably, again, one of my first, OP cards that I had in Madden Ultimate Team, and Vincent Jackson made it a lot of fun for me. So he's going to take my number 3 spot. At number 2, this shouldn't be too much of a surprise, guys. His name is hanging behind me in my studio. It's going to be LaDainian Tomlinson, and if I remember correctly, this is one of the first LaDainian Tomlinsons that I used. Don't quote me on that. This was Madden 16. If he was in the game before that, I'm sure I had him, but this is the first one that I really remember having so much fun with. 94 overall. I think this card was actually limited as well, because I remember feeling excited that I was one of few people that actually had this LT. So much fun. 93 speed, 96 excel, 97 as that stamina out there, so he was always on the field. 99 stiff arm. Oh my god, this card was so much fun. He's just an absolute beast out there. So EA, listen to me. We need LT back in the game. Chargers fans felt extremely left out of this year's Madden and Madden 20, and LT not being there is probably the biggest reason for that. And he's an absolute goon. He's one of the best halfbacks in Madden year in and year out when he actually does get a card. I really need to see him back in the game next year. Just one of my favorite players of all time, even in Madden Ultimate Team. He's just so much fun. And again, one of the first times I ever used him, Madden 16. Really good time. Now lastly, at number 1, the best card that I've ever used in Madden Ultimate Team in all of my years playing is going to be Harold Carmichael. Weird, right? It's just like some random. A lot of people don't know who Harold Carmichael is unless you played Madden 18 and Ultimate Team specifically. This card was just so dominant for the entire year. It started back with what, like a 95 legend? Yes, sir. 95 legend. When he came out, I knew the game was going to be different through the past. And it's because Harold Carmichael, the tallest wide receiver I've ever seen in Madden Ultimate Team, standing at 6'8", 225 pounds. And you would think that he would be slow as dirt because of it. No, dude. Still 95 speed at a 98 overall. If you had that today, he would be absolutely the best wide receiver in the game. And on top of that, his catching traffic, spec catch, all of that was the craziest I'd ever seen in Madden Ultimate Team. And I used this cat all year long. I remember I had him on my lineup. I called them the two towers. I had Calvin Johnson on one side and Harold Carmichael on the other, and it was just so much fun having those super tall targets that were also fast on the outside. And for that reason, Harold Carmichael, probably my favorite wide receiver of all time in Madden Ultimate Team. He's gonna take the number 1 spot for me. Guys, in the comment section below, what do you guys think? Who are some of your favorite players and cards in Madden Ultimate Team of all time? That's my top 15. I gave it some thought. It might change if I decide to do another list next year, but I'm excited to see what your guys' opinions were too, because the nostalgia of it all is kind of fun to think about, especially in a time where there's really nothing going on in Madden Ultimate Team. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Hit us up with a like and sub if you do enjoy this content. We'll see you next time, and as always, stay frosty.